I really connect with my clients, and I've had these clients for many years. And again, being a big sphere of influence, that's what I rely on in getting all my referrals, by just really connecting with them on a personal basis.
I've seen many accolades for you over the years. You reached your Hall of Fame in 2014. These are what RE/MAX calls career level awards, certain milestones, and then Lifetime Achievement back in 2022. Lifetime Achievement is when a RE/MAX realtor is with the company 10 years and sells over 10 million in commission, in volume, I should say. And that was back in 22. You're still hitting these career highs. You've sold hundreds and hundreds of homes. And I'm super excited to have you on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me here today.
Yeah. So I always like to kind of dive in and get a little bit of a backstory. What were you doing before real estate?
I was working for financial companies and marketing and sales. I was a national account manager.
Okay.
So traveling around the United States, supporting our sales team.
Okay.
And when Fortis was sold out, they were a European company, so they really took care of their employees, and I got a great severance package, which kind of got me to go outside of my box. Because, you know, in your comfort zone, I had 6 weeks paid vacation, 401k, all my weekends off. So it allowed me to go into real estate, because
did you know someone in real estate, or did you just always have an interest? How did you?
So every home that I owned, I've always done like major renovation as well. But my brother is Blaine. He's an RSS. I always get those two mixed up, but
Result Support Services. Yeah.
So he gives me his referrals. So there was somebody in the family, but I've always kind of, even the job before I started at Fortis, I thought about going in
to real estate.
But I had a headhunter, recruit me over to Fortis, and it was a job I couldn't turn down.
So when you first got licensed in real estate, which brokerage were you at? Where did you start out?
Edina Realty.
Okay. That's a great company.
Yeah.
I always say it's a great company to start out at.
So I was there for 5 years, and being that I was working for major financial companies and I was trying to get out of that, as you know, Warren Buffett owns.
Yep.
And I still felt I was really in that corporate environment.
Okay.
And Nikki Moeller was a good friend of mine. Her and I started out in the same office just a couple of months apart at Edina Realty. And we always stayed good friends, and she was a big recruiter to have me come over to Results. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Who did you work with? Who brought you on board to RE/MAX Results?
Bill Saunders, Marshall Saunders' dad.
Yeah.
And I was his last recruit, to the best of my knowledge.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Unfortunately, got quite sick after, and as you know, he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of special. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, and being here, I've seen huge changes, as you and I discussed before we started this. But there was only about 450 Results agents and maybe about 12 offices. So I've seen a lot of good changes happen with this company.
So you probably didn't know Marshall at the time. You knew Bill, but then when you met Marshall for the first time, you probably told him, yeah, your dad was the one that brought me here. Why the change from Edina Realty to RE/MAX Results? What was it that you said Nikki Moeller kind of helps?
Yeah, and again, it was that I still felt with that company, it was a very corporate environment, and that's what I was trying to get out of.
Okay.
I felt like they were too much trying to tell you how to drive your business, where at Results, we can run our business how we want to be successful, and given all those tools to be successful.
I'm trying to remember the first time I met you. I was probably in more of a IT role. I was probably in a director of IT, because I'm sure I remember. Well, we've worked together 17 years now, but I think I was probably teaching you some technical trade.
Yeah.
We were just before the cameras were rolling, talking about social media wasn't even around at that time, but
doing the handwritten forms.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you're an independent. You're a solo agent.
Correct. I have a few RSSs.
Where do you find most of your business, and do you have any special niche that you specialize in, or are you kind of many hats?
Probably many hats.
Okay.
When I first started, there wasn't a lot of social media, that type of those tools for us to have. And one of my mentors at Edina Realty was a huge Brian Buffini fan.
Oh yeah, I love Buffini.
Yeah, in fact, Marshall even took us to Chicago twice, and
cool.
I attended.
Okay.
And when I was at Edina Realty, I attended like 3 of his West Coast conferences.
Okay.
So at that time, there wasn't all these different, tools that you have online now for finding expireds and that. So I really leveraged my sphere, and that was huge. And that's what's really carried me through most of my career.
Yeah.
Doing the client appreciations, doing the pop buys.
Do you host events for your clients?
I do.
You do? What do you do?
So I used to do the Women's Club, and it was a big brunch every year.
Yeah.
Then they had to cancel several years in a row because of COVID.
Yep.
And now then it got really expensive to do that venue. So now I do what's probably more popular that everybody likes. I do a food truck. I do like a taco food truck. It serves margaritas. I do it at the event center in St. Louis Park. So, yeah.
All right.
Then I do pies every year at Thanksgiving. Drive by, pick up your pies.
Yeah.
For all my clients. So.
What's something for someone that's maybe listening to this audio or watching your video and considering hiring you? What's something that potential customer, what should they know about you?
I think connecting, I'm not sure there's a lot of good realtors, and there's many of them at Results that I'd work with. I think there's, we're a very ethical company, and we've got some great leaders who provide all those tools that we need. Probably, I'm just a really personal person. I really connect with my clients, and I've had these clients for many years. And again, being a big sphere of influence, that's what I rely on, and getting all my referrals by just really connecting with them on a personal basis.
Are you ever doing anything to, well, I suppose you just answered that question. I was thinking drumming up new business, like growing your sphere, that you're growing your sphere from within your sphere, asking them for the referrals and the recommendations.
John Colby always said you do need a couple other sources of revenue. And so knowing that I do need to make changes, I just joined that Glover U training. So I'm hoping to pick up.
You're doing the Sales Rocket with Glover U. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I've heard so many good things about it.
Yep.
And you
so you've been through one at this point.
1 week.
Yeah.
So
what'd
now
you think of the first?
Extremely impressed. I had watched a few of his trainings online.
Yeah.
And as well as Tom Ferry.
I'm a big fan of always never stop improving.
Exactly.
What's one big thing that perhaps you learned from coaching with Buffini?
Staying connected with your clients, no matter how little it is, a handwritten note. Buffini is huge on that. He said, what's more personal in getting something in the mail that's handwritten by you?
Yeah, you never get that anymore.
Yeah, they're not. And just staying, whether be it a text or making a comment on their Facebook post or just all those little things staying in your client's mind.
Do you use a CRM system to do that? I'm
old fashioned in that. I do use Outlook.
Yeah.
But I can't.
You have a system.
Yeah, I have a system in Outlook.
Outlook is your CRM.
And maybe I'll learn something different at Grover U on managing that better.
Yeah. Was there anything that you learned with Tom Ferry that or he probably has the same message as far as past clients or?
Ferry's more systems driven though. As far as maybe buying leads and expireds. He's a little more where I think Buffini is more, sphere influence.
Referral.
Where Tom Ferry's a little bit, he's more into the systems in place. Yeah. And kind of more like John Colby, make sure you're having 2 or 3 good sources. Don't just rely on one as your sphere. And that's been a big learning experience for me.
Yeah. That personal development you got to keep. And I love any and all coaching. What do you like to do outside of real estate?
Well, I'm also licensed in Wisconsin.
You are? Okay.
And so I grew up as a kid at a
I just learned you have a cabin north of me, right?
Yeah.
I know. Go hop on a boat.
So I was born like a block off the ocean in Florida. And my dad was in the military for 22 years.
Where in Florida?
The Panhandle. I was born in Eglin Air Force Base.
Okay.
So family of 9.
Really?
I'm the youngest of 9 kids.
Okay.
My dad was a career military for 22 years.
Okay.
And when he retired, they bought a lake home in the Brady Lakes area. So I'm really always been on the water and boats, and
Yeah.
it's my huge passion along with my kids.
Yep.
So probably my biggest thing outside of real estate is to hang at the cabin in Wisconsin with family and friends and my lake neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. You got to have that getaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. But you're licensed over there, so it might not
Correct.
hurt if you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I've probably sold almost 2/3 of the lake homes on our lake since I built 5 years ago.
That's
It's
cool.
been fun.
Yeah. What's one thing you're not doing in your business that you know you should be doing?
Video. Absolutely.
Well, look at we're
Yeah,
here.
you know,
we're
but
we
coming
are.
here today was, again, a little outside my box.
Yeah.
It was not big on being on camera,
Yep.
but I want to do, and I know Glover, I think, is going to go through some of that.
Yeah.
So I do want to, that's on my plate for this year to
Yeah.
get outside that box and do video.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So that's a goal. Now, I mean, you said it. It's on camera.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna bring you back,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna ask you, how many videos have you done since we last met, Lance? And how has Sales Rocket been? And yeah, we'll do a
Okay.
recap.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna hold you accountable.
All right.
So other big goals that you have for your real estate business, perhaps.
I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I see there's some lifers in our office
Yeah.
because I really enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
People say, what are you going to do after you retire? But I don't really see
I don't think you can retire from real estate.
No. I asked my planner, like, what do I need to do
Yeah.
retire at this age? And he goes, well, why would you ever want to retire?
You're young.
You built
Yeah,
a great book of business.
Yeah.
It keeps you active.
Yep.
You can use that as your spending money for your travel. I love to travel. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Let's help our listeners right now. So anyone that might be listening to the show that's new to real estate or considering a career in real estate, what's some advice that you have that you've learned along the way that maybe you wish you would have known sooner?
Well, what the new agents have now, and I'm dating myself, we just didn't have at
The
our
technology tools?
the technology tools. Everything is shiny right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I think all of us every day get a call from either a lender or some sort of coaching. It seems like everybody wants to coach these days. Mm-hmm. And there's just so many online tools and, on YouTube, Tom Ferry, many that are even free, all these seminars. And I just have really leveraged that because this is a industry that you constantly need to learn. And then also just be really true to yourself and true to your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
Yeah.
have a big heart.
Can you think of something that led you to, gosh, this is why I do what I do?
Yeah, I'm going to take you to a sale in Wisconsin. Was one of the cabins I listed a couple years ago, and they purchased it when they were young, and they've had the cabin for many years, and they raised their kids there, and they were showing me how like on their calendars they kept a calendar every year, and they put like the number of fish that they caught every year. They
Cool.
told me like the total amount of fish they've caught the entire time they've owned that cabin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But when we were sitting down, I'm getting a little emotional right now.
I tend to do that. I'm sorry.
When we were no, that's okay. When we were sitting down,
You're going to make me cry.
signing that contract, they were crying
Oh.
because her knees were going out. There were stairs down to the lake, and they were torn about selling, but they needed to because of their health, and that was just. You saw somebody's whole lifeline, and
Yeah.
now they had to, that was their passion like it is mine.
Yeah.
That lake was their passion to be with their family. And
Yeah.
it was a tough one to sit through. And,
Yeah.
you want to talk them to convince them to, maybe you don't need to sell yet, but, they knew that they needed to. And
That's hard. So,
Yeah.
I mean, every single home sale is very emotional.
yeah,
It is.
yeah,
Whether it's a need, a necessity like what you just described, or it's an accomplishment in their life, or So, thank you for doing
Yes.
what you do. I've heard just great stories about you over the years, and
well, thank you.
yeah, you're phenomenal. Lance, what do you do as far as giving back, working with maybe organizations or any kind of philanthropic activity, or can you talk about that?
Yeah. So one of my big organizations that I believe in is Open Arms. I don't know if are you familiar with them?
Yes.
So
yeah. But talk about it for our listeners.
Yeah,
Open Arms.
So they provide meals to people. They've originally started out providing meals to men who had AIDS.
Okay.
And it was ran out of like a church basement. Okay. In fact, I think he started on his apartment, went to a church.
And they've been around a long time.
And now they provide meals to families who they can't, to provide nutritional meals for anybody who are sick, like women who have breast cancer. So it's not just AIDS any longer.
Yeah.
But they are a phenomenal nonprofit organization. And it's been a great networking, because on top of providing a lot of volunteer hours, I've also picked up a fair amount of referrals. So it's kind of a win-win to give back to the community, but also connect with people who trust you. And, we have a connection that we volunteer together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've gotten to extend outside with families outside of Open Arms.
Yeah.
Just by volunteering there.
That's good. That's good. I think we touched on it already a little bit, but I want to circle back. And anyone that you'd like to honor or give thanks to for where you are today and your success in the real estate industry?
Nikki. Nikki recruited me over here, same way.
Nikki Moeller.
Yeah, Nikki Moeller, correct.
Yeah, she's a gem.
Yeah. We've remained very good friends throughout this and our careers.
What is something that would just give you this huge sense of accomplishment? Like, what have you achieved that moment yet in life? Any kind of goals, any really big, audacious that you haven't shared with us?
Not really. This being the transition that came from the financial and taking that leap for me to come out of that again was inside the box of coming into sales, straight commission. That was a big jump for me. And I felt like, coming in, I started just before the market crashed.
Yeah.
And I remember doing foreclosures and short sales and finding those other income streams to make me stay in the real estate, because I'd still get on a regular basis. I was still getting recruiter calls. Then there was a few times I did schedule interviews to go back to the corporate.
Yeah.
And the next morning I'd actually call them and say, you know what, I'm here to stay. I really enjoy helping people, and I'd cancel my interviews. And it was the smartest thing I ever did.
You just told me that you've achieved that. You're
right.
Living.
Yeah.
What you're doing is already very rewarding for you.
Yeah. So 22 years in the business. Yeah. It was that. This is my goal, to continue what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm giving back to my clients, because again, helping them find a house to me is important that they love. I mean, I always want, when I always take the initiative, I want the client to be so happy with their transaction that they say, I love coming back to my house from after work, or that's my goal. Because again, if they love their home, they're going to love their realtor, and then you're going to get referrals. And that's the kind of referrals that I want. People who loved working with me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me again.